Streetlights hummed. Evening pressed in. "Hey," a voice said from the open window. "Flat. Sharp. Where you headed?" Malik looked up. Police uniform. Badge catching the light. "Home," Malik said. "Calm. Clear." The car crept forward, then stopped fully. The door opened. "Home where?" the officer asked. Malik felt it then. That shift. The air tightening. He'd felt it before. Not fear yet. Something colder. "3 blocks that way," Malik said, pointing. The officer stepped closer. Too close. "You live around here?" "Yes, sir." "You sure about that?" Malik's jaw tightened. He kept his voice steady. "I'm waiting for the bus." The officer looked at the empty street. Then back at Malik. "No bus running this late," he said. "Yes, there is," Malik replied. The officer smiled. Not friendly. "Funny," he said. "You kids always got an answer." Malik's fingers curled around his phone. "I haven't done anything wrong." The officer's hand dropped to his belt. "We'll see about that." The metal cuffs came into view. Malik's heart kicked hard. "Turn around," the officer said. "Why?" Malik asked. "For loitering." The word hit wrong. Heavy. Empty. As the cuffs snapped shut, Malik's backpack slid forward, unzipping slightly. A white envelope peeked out. Thick. Official. The officer noticed it. "What's that?" he asked. Malik swallowed. "My college letter." The officer paused. Then reached for the bag. Malik checked the time again. 7:42 p.m. The bus was late. That wasn't new. The street was quiet in the way that made small sounds loud. A car passing. A door closing somewhere. The hum of the street light above him. He shifted his backpack higher on his shoulder. Then the patrol car slowed. Malik noticed it right away. He always did. His body reacted before his mind caught up. His shoulders stiffened. His breathing changed. The car rolled past him. Then stopped. "Hey," the officer said. Malik turned. The window was down. The officer didn't smile. "Yes, sir?" Malik said. "What are you doing out here?" "Waiting for the bus." The officer looked past Malik, down the empty street. "At night?" "Yes, sir." The officer's eyes moved slowly. Malik felt them. Measuring. Deciding. "You live around here?" "Yes." "Where?" 3 blocks that way," Malik said, pointing. The officer stepped out of the car. "Too close." "You got ID?" "I'm 17. "So no ID." "I have a school card," Malik said. The officer tilted his head. "Why you nervous?" "I'm not," Malik said. "I'm just waiting." The officer smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "You fit the description," he said. Malik's stomach dropped. "What description?" Malik asked. The officer didn't answer. He stepped around Malik, slow, like a circle. "Hands where I can see them." Malik lifted his hands. A woman across the street paused. Watched. Then kept walking. "Any weapons?" the officer asked. "No, sir." "Drugs?" "No." "Then you won't mind a quick search?" "I do mind," Malik said quietly. "I haven't done anything wrong." The officer's jaw tightened. "Turn around." "Why?" Malik asked. "For loitering." The word sounded fake. Like it didn't belong there. "I'm waiting for the bus," Malik said again. The officer reached for his cuffs. Malik's heart started racing. "Please," Malik said. "I have to be home soon." The officer grabbed Malik's wrist. "Stop resisting." "I'm not." The cuffs snapped shut. Cold. Tight. Malik winced. "Walk," the officer said, pushing him toward the car. "Sir," Malik said. "Can you tell me what I did?" The officer opened the back door. "You should have thought about that earlier." Malik looked around. No one said anything. The door slammed. Darkness. The lock clicked. Malik swallowed hard. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was something else. The door opened. Light rushed in. Sound followed. The street felt louder now, closer. "Out," the officer said. Malik blinked and stepped down. His wrists burned where the cuffs rubbed. He kept his hands still. Kept his shoulders relaxed. His mother's voice echoed in his head. "Don't argue. Don't reach. Don't give them a reason." The officer grabbed Malik's arm and steered him toward the hood of the car. Hands up. Malik raised them. Spread your fingers. He did. The metal of the hood was cold against his palms. He stared at the paint, chipped in places, and tried to slow his breathing. You got anything on you I should know about? The officer asked. No, sir. The officer patted him down anyway. Rough. Deliberate. Too slow. Malik clenched his jaw. Where you coming from? The officer asked. The library, Malik said. Closed, the officer replied. It closed early, Malik said. There was a sign. The officer paused. Leaned closer. You always got an answer, he said. Malik said nothing. A car passed slowly. Someone inside stared. Then looked away. You in school? The officer asked. Yes. Which one? Central High. The officer scoffed. Figures. Malik felt heat rise in his chest. What's that supposed to mean? He asked. The officer straightened. You want to add attitude now? No, sir, Malik said quickly. I was just asking. The officer stepped closer again. Malik could smell his cologne. Sharp. Heavy. Listen, the officer said. I'm trying to figure out if you're lying to me. I'm not, Malik said. You sure? Yes. The officer walked around the car, slow and loud, boots scraping the pavement. He stopped in front of Malik. You know why I stopped you? No, sir. Because people like you hang around here and trouble starts. Malik's throat tightened. I live here, he said. The officer laughed once. Short. Sure you do. A woman across the street stood still now. Phone in her hand. Not raised. Just holding it. Malik noticed. Hope flickered. Small. Fragile. The officer followed Malik's eyes. Keep your head straight, he snapped. Malik looked back at the hood. You ever been arrested before? The officer asked. No. You lying again? No. You're shaking, the officer said. That's guilt. I'm cold, Malik said. The officer pressed him harder against the car. Stop moving. I'm not moving. You are now. The officer's radio crackled. Dispatch, the officer said, turning away slightly. I've got a suspicious male. Possible loitering. Possible trespass. Malik's heart dropped. That's not true, Malik said. The officer turned back fast. Did I tell you to speak? Malik closed his mouth. The woman across the street lifted her phone a little higher now. The officer noticed again. He called out. Keep moving. She hesitated. I'm just watching, she said. Then watch from somewhere else. She stepped back. Malik felt something sink inside him. You know what happens when you lie to a cop? The officer asked quietly. Malik didn't answer. You make things worse for yourself, the officer continued. Real worse. I'm not lying, Malik said. His voice shook despite himself. The officer smiled. See? There it is. He grabbed Malik's backpack strap and yanked it forward. What's in here? He asked. School stuff, Malik said. Books. The officer unzipped it halfway. Looked inside. Papers. Notebooks. A folder. He didn't pull anything out yet. Him, he said. Lot of paper for a kid just hanging around. I wasn't hanging around, Malik said. The officer zipped it back up. Turn around, he said. I'm turned around. More. Malik shifted slightly. Stop resisting. I'm not resisting, Malik said, louder now. The officer pushed him again. Radio, the officer said, speaking over Malik. Go ahead and run him. Malik froze. Run me for what? He asked. The officer ignored him. He spoke Malik's name into the radio. Slow. Clear. Malik closed his eyes. He thought of his mother at work. His little sister waiting for him. The unopened email sitting on his phone. The radio crackled back. The officer listened. Nodded. Then he looked at Malik differently. Not softer. Sharper. No warrants, the officer said. Interesting. So can I go? Malik asked. The officer leaned in close. No, he said. Now I'm curious. He opened the back door of the car again. You're coming with me. For what? Malik asked. For figuring this out. The officer pushed Malik inside. The door slammed. The lock clicked. Malik stared at the glass divider as the engine started. The car pulled away. And Malik realized something worse than fear. This wasn't about loitering anymore. It never had been. The car smelled like vinyl and something sharp. Cleaner. Old sweat. Malik couldn't tell. The door was locked. The window didn't open. A thin metal grate cut the world in half. Malik sat stiff, hands cuffed in front of him now, resting on his knees. The car rolled forward, smooth, steady. Too calm for what was happening inside him. The officer didn't look back. Radio chatter filled the silence. Codes. Numbers. Words that meant nothing to Malik but decided everything about him. Malik watched the street slide by through the glass. Stores. Houses. People walking dogs. Normal life. They don't know, he thought. They don't see me. The officer adjusted the mirror. Their eyes met for half a second. Then the officer looked away. You real quiet back there now, the officer said. Malik swallowed. You told me not to talk. That was before, the officer replied. Now I'm giving you a chance. A chance for what? Malik asked. The officer smiled at the road. To explain yourself. I already did, Malik said. I was waiting for the bus. Funny thing about stories, the officer said. They change. Malik felt his chest tighten. I didn't do anything, he said. The officer tapped the steering wheel with one finger. Everyone says that. The siren stayed off. That felt worse. Like this wasn't urgent. Like it was casual. Malik leaned his head back against the seat. The plastic was hard. Cold. His mind started racing. Stay calm. Don't cry. Don't give him what he wants. He thought about the email notification from earlier that day. The one he hadn't opened. The subject line he'd only glanced at. Congratulations. He squeezed his eyes shut. Where you headed after the bus? The officer asked. Home, Malik said. Anybody waiting for you? Yes. Who? My mom. The officer hummed. She know where you are right now? No, Malik admitted. That's a problem, the officer said lightly. For you. Malik felt panic flicker. Can I call her? Malik asked. Later. When? We'll see. The car turned. Streets Malik recognized faded into ones he didn't. Where are we going? Malik asked. The officer didn't answer. They drove a little longer. The radio crackled again. The officer picked it up. Yeah, he said. I'm bringing him in. Him. Malik stared at the word in his mind. How small it made him feel. How easy. The officer clicked the radio off. You ever think about how fast things can go wrong? The officer asked. Malik didn't respond. You say the wrong thing, the officer continued. Make the wrong move. And suddenly you're a statistic. Malik's hands clenched. I'm not doing anything wrong, he said. The officer glanced back again. Longer this time. That depends on who's telling the story. The station came into view. Gray. Flat. Bright lights that made everything look pale. Malik's heart started pounding. The car slowed. Turned. Rolled into a lot. Malik watched another officer smoke near the door. Laughing. Relaxed. The car stopped. The engine cut. Silence. The officer turned in his seat. Listen to me, he said. His voice dropped. I'm going to ask you some questions inside. You answer them right, this goes easy. And if I don't? Malik asked. The officer's eyes narrowed. Then it doesn't. The door opened. Cold air rushed in. Out, the officer said. Malik stepped down. His legs felt weak, but he stayed upright. Walk, the officer said, hand firm on Malik's arm. They moved toward the building. Malik looked up at the sign above the door. Police Department. The letters looked permanent. Heavy. Inside, the lights were harsh. White. Everything echoed. Another officer glanced at Malik, then away. Name? The desk sergeant asked without looking up. The arresting officer said it. Malik flinched hearing it said like that. Flat. Official. What's the charge? The sergeant asked. Loitering, the officer said. Then paused. Suspicious behavior. The sergeant nodded. Typed. Malik opened his mouth. Don't, the officer said quietly. Malik closed it. They took his backpack. Hey, Malik said. Please be careful. The officer ignored him. The zipper opened. Papers shifted. The white envelope slid into view. Thick. Clean. Official. The desk sergeant picked it up. What's this? He asked. The officer glanced over. Then froze. The room felt different all at once. "What is that?" the officer asked again. Malik's throat went dry. "My college letter," he said. The sergeant turned it over. "Read the corner." His eyebrows lifted. "Harvard," he said. The word hung in the air. The officer stepped closer. "Let me see that," he said. And as his fingers touched the envelope, Malik realized. Everything was about to change. No one spoke right away. The officer cleared his throat. "Probably junk mail," he said. The sergeant didn't answer. He turned the envelope once more, slow, reading the return address again. His fingers tapped it like it mattered. "Property," the sergeant said finally. "Put it with the rest." He slid it onto the counter. The officer hesitated. Just a beat. Then nodded. "Sit," the officer told Malik. Malik lowered himself onto the bench by the wall. Cold metal. No backrest. His wrist still burned. The room buzzed with low noise. Phones ringing. Keys clinking. A printer humming somewhere. "Stand up," the officer said again. Malik did. "Name?" the sergeant said, eyes on the screen. "Malik Carter," Malik replied. "Address?" Malik gave it. "Date of birth?" "June 12th. The sergeant typed fast. Didn't look up. "You under 18, he said. "Yes, sir." The officer shifted his weight. "That's a problem," the sergeant said. "For him," the officer replied. Malik swallowed. "Any priors?" the sergeant asked. "No," the officer said. "Search turn up anything?" "No." "Then why's he here?" The officer's jaw tightened. "He was loitering," he said. "Refused to comply." "That's not true," Malik said before he could stop himself. The officer turned fast. "I told you not to speak." "I'm sorry," Malik said. His voice shook. "But I didn't refuse anything." The sergeant finally looked up. His eyes moved between them. "You resisting?" he asked Malik. "No, sir." The sergeant nodded once. "Property," he said again. Another officer stepped forward. Younger. Neutral face. "Bag," he said. Malik handed it over. The officer opened it on the counter. Pulled things out one by one. Notebook. Textbook. Calculator. Then the folder. The envelope slid out again. White against gray. The room went quiet. The younger officer picked it up. "What school is this?" he asked. The sergeant leaned closer. The officer who arrested Malik said nothing. The younger officer read it out loud, slow. "Harvard College," he said. Malik felt his chest tighten. Not pride. Fear. Like something fragile was being handled wrong. The sergeant exhaled. "You applied?" he asked Malik. "Yes, sir." "You get in?" Malik hesitated. "Yes." The word felt heavy leaving his mouth. The arresting officer laughed once. "Anybody can fake a letter," he said. The sergeant didn't smile. "Run it," he said. The officer frowned. "Run what?" "Verify," the sergeant replied. "Call the number." The officer stared at the envelope. Then at Malik. "You lying to us?" he asked. "No," Malik said. "I brought it home to show my mom." The sergeant picked up the phone. The officer's voice dropped. "You know," he said to Malik, "lying about something like this makes things worse." "I'm not lying." The phone rang. Once. Twice. The sergeant waited. "Yes," he said. "I'm calling to verify an acceptance letter." The room felt smaller. The officer stepped back. Folded his arms. Malik stared at the floor. His heart hammered in his ears. "Yes," the sergeant continued. "Name's Malik Carter." Pause. "Yes." Another pause. The sergeant's eyebrows lifted slightly. "Thank you," he said, and hung up. Silence. The sergeant looked at the screen. Then at Malik. "It's real," he said. The arresting officer didn't move. "That doesn't change anything," he said quickly. He was still. "Enough," the sergeant said. The word cut sharp. The officer's face flushed. "We'll finish processing," the sergeant said. "Call his parent." Malik's breath hitched. "You're not releasing him?" the officer asked. "Not yet," the sergeant replied. "But this isn't clean." The officer's jaw clenched. He leaned toward Malik. "You think this means something?" he whispered. "You think that letter saves you?" Malik met his eyes. "I didn't do anything wrong," Malik said quietly. The officer stared at him. Long hard. Then he stepped away. The sergeant slid the envelope back into the folder. "Hold tight," he told Malik. "Someone's coming." Malik sat back down. His legs shook now. He couldn't stop them. Across the room, the officer made a call. His voice low. Careful. Words like misunderstanding floated through the air. Malik hugged his arms to his chest. He realized something then. They weren't trying to decide what was right. They were deciding how much trouble this could become. And who would carry it. The envelope sat on the counter like it was watching them. No one touched it at first. The sergeant typed something into the computer. The keys sounded louder than before. Each click felt final. The arresting officer stood a few steps back now. Arms crossed. Weight shifting from one foot to the other. His confidence had changed shape. It was still there, but thinner. Malik stayed seated. Hands cuffed. Back straight. He didn't look at the envelope again. He already knew what it said. He'd read it a dozen times at home. Alone. Quiet. Like it was something fragile. The sergeant cleared his throat. "So," he said, not looking up. "Harvard." The word landed differently this time. Not sharp. Heavy. "Yes, sir," Malik said. "You get a scholarship?" the sergeant asked. "Yes." The arresting officer laughed again. It came out wrong. Too loud. "Must be nice," he said. "Guess they're handing those out now." The sergeant's eyes flicked up. "Watch it," he said. The officer raised his hand slightly. "I'm just saying," he replied. "Kids lie." Malik felt heat rise in his chest. "I didn't lie," he said. The officer turned on him fast. "I didn't ask you." The sergeant stood up. "That's enough," he said again. His voice stayed calm, but something underneath it hardened. He picked up the folder. Opened it. Read the letter himself this time. Slow. Careful. Malik watched his face change in small ways. The lift of an eyebrow. A pause. A breath held a second longer than needed. "You earned this?" the sergeant asked Malik. "Yes, sir," Malik said. "Grades? Tests? Essays?" The sergeant nodded. "Were you planning to study?" "Engineering," Malik said. "Maybe law later." The officer scoffed. "Of course," he muttered. The sergeant snapped the folder shut. "Go take a walk," he told the officer. The officer blinked. "What?" "I said take a walk," the sergeant repeated. "I need a minute." The officer's jaw tightened. For a moment, Malik thought he might argue. Then he turned and walked toward the hallway. Hard steps. Sharp turn. The door swung shut behind him. The room felt quieter without him. The sergeant exhaled. "You okay?" he asked Malik. Malik hesitated. "I don't know," he said honestly. The sergeant nodded like he understood. "I'm calling your mother," he said. "Thank you," Malik replied. His voice cracked on the last word. The sergeant dialed. While the phone rang, Malik stared at the wall. The paint was chipped. Old posters hung crooked. Rules. Warnings. He thought about how close this had come to becoming something worse. How easily it still could. The phone clicked. "Yes, the sergeant said. "Your son is here. He's safe." Malik closed his eyes. Across the room, the door opened again. The officer stepped back in. His face was different now. Careful. Controlled. He didn't look at Malik right away. "We may have moved too fast," the officer said to the sergeant. "Looks like a misunderstanding." The sergeant said nothing. "I mean," the officer continued, "he wasn't causing trouble." Malik looked up. The officer finally met his eyes. "You could have said something sooner," the officer said. "About the letter." Malik stared at him. "I did," Malik said. "You didn't listen." Silence fell hard. The sergeant looked between them. "We're going to sort this out," he said. "By the book." The officer nodded. Too quickly. "Of course," he said. But Malik saw it then. The shift. This wasn't about right or wrong anymore. It was about control. And the officer had lost it. The front door buzzed. Someone had arrived. The sergeant glanced at the screen. "Your mom's here," he said. Malik's chest tightened. The officer straightened his uniform. Smoothed his sleeves. The door opened. Footsteps approached. And Malik knew. Whatever happened next wouldn't stay quiet. Malik heard his mother's voice before he saw her. Sharp. Controlled. Too calm for the situation. "Where is my son?" The room shifted. The sergeant straightened. The younger officer stood back. Even the air felt different, like it knew something important had entered. "She's this way," the sergeant said. Malik stood as much as the cuffs allowed. "Mom," he said. She crossed the room fast. Not running. Not panicking. Just moving with purpose. Her coat was still on. Her work badge hung from her neck. She hadn't had time to take it off. She looked at Malik first. His face. His wrists. Her jaw tightened. "Are you hurt?" she asked. "No," Malik said. "I'm okay." She nodded once. Then turned to the sergeant. "Why is my 17-year-old son in handcuffs?" she asked. The sergeant opened his mouth. The arresting officer stepped in. "There was a misunderstanding," he said quickly. "Your son was—" "Don't," Malik's mother said. The word landed hard. The officer froze. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't have to. "My son called me an hour ago to say he was waiting for the bus," she continued. "Then he stopped answering. So I came here." The sergeant glanced at the screen. "He didn't get a call," he said. Malik's mother looked back at the officer. "You denied him a call," she said. "Not a question." The officer shifted. "We were still processing." "He's a minor," she said. "That's not optional." The sergeant cleared his throat. "We're reviewing the situation," he said. "There were no charges filed yet." "Yet," she repeated. The officer forced a smile. "Like I said," he said, "misunderstanding." Malik's mother looked at him fully now. Took him in. His posture. His tone. "Was he respectful?" she asked. "Yes," Malik said before the officer could answer. She nodded. "Then what exactly was the threat?" she asked. No one spoke. The officer glanced at the desk. At the folder. "Well," he said, choosing his words carefully, "he matched a description." "What description?" she asked. The officer hesitated. "Suspicious activity," he said. She waited. "That's not a description," she said. The sergeant shifted uncomfortably. "We've confirmed some information," he said. "About his school." "Yes," she replied. "I know." She turned to Malik. "Did they take your bag?" she asked. "Yes." "Did they open it?" "Yes." Her lips pressed together. "Without consent," she said. The officer raised a hand. "We had cause." "What cause?" she asked. Silence again. The sergeant stepped in. He said, "We're working to resolve this." Malik's mother nodded slowly. "Good," she said. "Because I will not allow it to be quietly erased." The officer's eyes flicked to her. "Erase what?" he asked. She met his gaze. "The record," she said. "The stop. The cuffs. The denial of a call. All of it." The officer's smile faded. "We can adjust the report," he said. Malik felt something twist in his chest. "Adjust?" his mother repeated. The sergeant looked sharply at the officer. "We don't adjust facts," the sergeant said. The officer swallowed. "I meant clarify," he said. "Clarify for who?" she asked. "Your supervisor? Or your lawyer?" The word lawyer changed everything. The officer's shoulders stiffened. "There's no need for that," he said. "There is," she replied calmly. "Especially since you escalated a non-incident involving a black minor." The room went very still. The sergeant rubbed his temple. "Let's slow this down," he said. "Yes," she agreed. "Let's." She turned back to Malik. "Are you okay?" she asked again. Softer now. Malik nodded. Then shook his head. "I don't know," he said. Her eyes softened. "Just for him." "That's okay," she said. "You don't have to be." She turned back to the officers. "I want the cuffs off," she said. "Now." The sergeant nodded. "Do it," he told the younger officer. The cuffs came off with a soft click. Malik flexed his wrists. Red marks bloomed. The arresting officer watched. His face unreadable. "We're going to review body cam footage," the sergeant said. "And notify a supervisor." The officer's jaw tightened. "That's not necessary," he said. "It is now," the sergeant replied. The officer took a step back. Malik realized something then. They weren't trying to protect him anymore. They were trying to protect themselves. And whatever came next would not stay inside this building. The lobby didn't look the same anymore. Too many eyes. Too much attention. Malik sat beside his mother on the hard bench. His backpack rested at his feet now, returned but still unzipped. The envelope was inside. He could feel it, even without touching it. Like it had weight. The front door opened again. Two people stepped in. A woman with a phone already in her hand. A man with a camera slung over his shoulder. They didn't rush. They didn't speak right away. They looked around. The arresting officer noticed them instantly. "Who are they?" he asked the sergeant. "Press," the sergeant replied quietly. The word landed heavy. The woman raised her phone, not pointing it yet, just holding it at chest level. "Ready. I'm with Channel 9, she said. Calm. Professional. We received a call about a minor being detained." The officer stepped forward. "There's no story here," he said. The journalist didn't look at him. She looked at Malik. "Is that true?" she asked. Malik hesitated. His mother nodded once. "It's okay," she said softly. "Yes," Malik said. His voice was steady, even though his chest felt tight. "I was detained." "For what reason?" the journalist asked. "Loitering," Malik said. The journalist's eyebrow lifted. "At a bus stop?" she asked. "Yes." The room murmured. "Low. Uneasy." The officer cleared his throat. "We're handling this internally," he said. "You can't film in here." The journalist nodded. "I'm not filming," she said. "I'm asking questions." The man with the camera shifted his weight. Watched. The sergeant stepped in. "We'll have a statement shortly," he said. "Good," the journalist replied. "Because witnesses outside are already talking." Malik's heart skipped. "Witnesses?" the officer asked. The journalist nodded toward the door. "A woman across the street," she said. "She recorded part of the stop. She says your officer told the teen he fit the description." The words echoed. The officer's face flushed. "That's not," he started. The sergeant raised a hand. "Body cam," the journalist added. "Is it on?" Silence. The officer didn't answer. The sergeant looked at him slowly. "Is your body cam on?" he asked again. The officer swallowed. "It malfunctioned," he said. Malik felt his mother's hand tighten around his. The journalist nodded slowly. "That's unfortunate," she said. "Because the witness video is clear." The officer took a step back. The younger officer shifted uncomfortably. The front door opened again. More people now. Two neighbors Malik recognized. A man from down the block. A woman who worked at the corner store. Phones were out. Quiet voices filled the space. "Is that him?" "That's the kid." "That's the cop." Malik felt exposed. Seen. But not alone. The sergeant exhaled. "We're escalating this," he said. "Supervisor's on the way." The arresting officer's jaw clenched. "This is getting blown out of proportion," he said. The journalist turned to him. "Was it proportional to handcuff a 17-year-old on a student?" she asked. He didn't answer. Malik stared at the floor. His reflection stared back, distorted in the polished surface. The sergeant's phone rang. He answered it quietly. Turned away. Listened. "Yes," he said. "Yes, sir." He hung up. "Footage review is happening now," he said. "From the vehicle cam." The officer's face drained slightly. Malik's heart pounded. The journalist smiled, just a little. Not happy. Focused. "This is about accountability," she said. "Not punishment." The officer laughed sharply. "Easy for you to say." Malik looked up then. "No," he said. His voice surprised even him. "It's easy for you to walk away." The room went still. The journalist turned to Malik. "Can you say that again?" she asked. Malik looked at his mother. She nodded. "It's easy for you to walk away," Malik said again. "I couldn't." The officer stared at him. The supervisor's footsteps echoed from the hallway. Heavy. Decisive. The sergeant straightened. "Here we go," he said. The door opened. A man in a pressed uniform stepped in. Older. Calm. Authority without noise. He took in the room in one glance. "Start the footage," he said. The screen flickered on. And Malik watched his own arrest begin to play back. From the outside. The screen flickered. Then steadied. Malik saw himself from above, smaller than he remembered. Standing by the bus stop. Backpack on one shoulder. Phone in his hand. The patrol car rolled into frame. No siren. No lights. The room went quiet. The supervisor folded his arms. The journalist leaned forward slightly. Phones were lifted, but no one spoke. The audio came on. "Hey," the officer's voice said from the speaker. Flat. Sharp. Malik felt his chest tighten. Hearing it again was worse than living it. Where you headed? Home. The supervisor's eyes stayed on the screen. You live around here? Yes, sir. The video showed the officer stepping closer. Too close. Invading space. You got ID? I'm 17. The officer's voice cut in. So no ID. Malik's mother inhaled slowly beside him. The next line played. You fit the description. The words echoed through the room like something dropped. The supervisor's jaw tightened. Pause it, he said. The screen froze on the officer's face. Calm. Confident. What description? The supervisor asked. No one answered. The arresting officer shifted. It was situational, he said. Based on training. The supervisor didn't look at him. Resume, he said. The video continued. Hands where I can see them. Malik watched himself raise his hands. Slow. Careful. The cuffs appeared. Metal clicking shut. Malik's mother looked away. Pause, the supervisor said again. The room held its breath. Why were cuffs applied? The supervisor asked. He was non-compliant, the officer said quickly. The supervisor nodded once. Resume. The audio played. I'm not resisting. Stop resisting. Malik felt something twist inside him. Hearing it back. The lie sitting there, recorded. The journalist's lips pressed together. The supervisor's phone buzzed. He ignored it. The video shifted to the patrol car interior. Malik in the back seat. Small. Still. The officer's voice filled the speakers again. You ever think about how fast things can go wrong? The supervisor closed his eyes briefly. Pause, he said. He turned then. Looked directly at the arresting officer. Why was that said? He asked. The officer swallowed. Just conversation, he said. The supervisor nodded. Resume. The station footage played next. Malik being processed. The envelope appearing on the counter. Harvard, the sergeant's voice said on the recording. A murmur rippled through the room again. The supervisor leaned closer. Pause. He studied the officer's posture on screen. The shift. The sudden stillness. What changed here? He asked. No answer. The journalist spoke softly. The power dynamic, she said. The supervisor nodded once. Resume. The footage continued. Tone shifts. Words soften. The officer stepping back. Malik felt exposed watching it all. Like his fear had been turned into evidence. The video ended. Silence rushed in. The supervisor turned to the arresting officer. Step forward, he said. The officer did. Slowly. You stopped a minor at a bus stop, the supervisor said. No call. No active report. No matching description. The officer opened his mouth. You handcuffed him, the supervisor continued. Denied him a call. Searched his property. The officer's face reddened. You escalated, the supervisor said. Then attempted to de-escalate once you believed the situation could bring scrutiny. The journalist's phone was steady now. The officer shook his head. That's not fair, he said. I made a judgment call. The supervisor nodded. Yes, he said. You did. He paused. And it was wrong. The word landed heavy. Final. The officer's shoulders sagged slightly. Badge, the supervisor said. The officer blinked. Sir. Badge, the supervisor repeated. Slowly, the officer reached up. Unclipped it. Placed it on the desk. The sound it made was small. Metal on wood. The journalist exhaled. Effective immediately, the supervisor said, you are relieved of duty pending investigation. The officer looked around the room. At Malik. At the phones. At the door. This time, no one looked away. Escort him, the supervisor said. Two officers stepped forward. As they led him toward the hallway, the arresting officer glanced back at Malik. For a moment, his eyes showed something close to fear. Then he was gone. The supervisor turned to Malik. I'm sorry, he said. This should not have happened. Malik nodded. He didn't trust his voice. We will be contacting internal affairs, the supervisor continued. And the department will issue a statement. The journalist lowered her phone. This isn't over, she said. The supervisor met her gaze. No, he agreed. It isn't. Malik felt something strange settle in his chest. Not relief. Not victory. Something heavier. The truth had come out. But the cost was already paid.